Three CBS employees stepping forward accusing Charlie Rose of inappropriate behavior. This coming after 9 other women who worked with the veteran journalist at PBS accused him of sexual misconduct. Here now is Howard Kurtz, MediaBuzz host and Fox News media analyst. Howard, so as these stories keep coming forward, the details are really embarrassing. I mean, they're just really... yuck is the only word, that comes to mind. And I wonder, what is the damage? What is the impact? What overall?
Well, yuck about sums it up. And, after I read that extraordinarily well-documented Washington Post story about the original 8 women who talked about things like Charlie Rose, walking around naked or unwanted kissing and groping, taking him to his estate on Long Island, I knew he couldn't survive. I didn't know it would happen this quickly, but I think the importance here of these new allegations from the 3 women who worked at CBS who have not been publicly identified is that it brings it into the present. This is not years ago, and it brings it into the network that employed him as the morning show co-host, as the 60 Minutes correspondent, not just what he did in his little fiefdom at his nightly PBS talk show.
And that's significant because now, as we get to this point in the discussion, and it's this has now become prevalent. It's in all industries. It's at all networks. There's nobody that can sort of stand out there and say it's not happening where we are. So as this happens, you begin to ask the other questions of who knew and what should they have done along the way. I dare say that Charlie Rose was someone that we heard about in this industry, not unlike a lot of the other people who have been publicly accused. He's somebody that there were grumblings about, and even in the time leading up to the accusations when they were writing the articles, you and I know how this goes. They call the network and they tell them repeatedly over weeks at a time, here's what's coming. Do you have something to say? Do you want to defend yourself? And I wonder, in that time, what did CBS do? What was their responsibility? And what about the producer who these accusers claim they went to her repeatedly?
Well, yeah, it's a female producer who has been in charge of Charlie Rose's 25-year-old talk show on PBS, and she said she failed. She didn't respond to these women's complaints. I don't know what CBS did while the Washington Post story is being prepared, but it does make you wonder at both networks how, now that everybody said, oh, the women warned each other, it was an open secret, how this never leaked out before. And I think part of it has to do with an environment, a changed environment in which some women at least now feel emboldened to go on the record with allegations, because it's difficult to take on somebody who's such an icon in the business like Charlie Rose.
And another thing that is going on right now that I'm certain that you know about and all journalists know about is this idea that we hear rumblings before it comes out of who reporters are calling around and trying to figure out, who's next, that sort of thing. Is that scary? Is that right? How do we deal with that? I mean, you're the media reporter. What do you think?
Well, look, any man who's worked in any workplace, has to reevaluate what he's done in the past and maybe be a little nervous, or woman, sure. I think it's important that we stick to well-documented cases and not get into speculation about who might be next. And I also think it's important that we make distinctions. There's a difference between what Harvey Weinstein did, which has been accused of rape and sexual assault by numerous women, what Charlie Rose did, which is absolutely inexcusable, unacceptable, and his apology, I thought, didn't even come close to matching the gravity of the allegations. And some of these other allegations where, while not excusing it, one instance of groping or one unwanted advance, years ago, is not in the same category. I think we need to make those distinctions.
Yeah, I mean, one thing is that it's easier to make your mind up about a situation when the accuser is willing to come forward and tell their story, and you can judge for yourself sort of how much you believe that person. But that's very hard. That's putting a huge burden on the person who's already been victimized to come forward and tell their story so people can judge. It's very complicated, Howard. Thank you for being here. We appreciate your time.